So let's talk about the mistakes that most new riders make and how to fix those mistakes. Now, I don't want to burst your bubble, but as a new rider, you don't know jack. And let me tell you, after a year and a half, I still think I know jack. There's a lot to learn. The biggest misconception is the fact that once you have your license, you passed your road test, you got your license. It must mean that they gave you your license because you know what you're doing. If that's your mentality, get off your bike and really rethink what you're doing. Now, in some ways this applies to people who drive too, but with a motorcycle it's much more dangerous because a motorcycle doesn't take, it is much more dangerous. There's too many things that can go wrong. So the very first thing on this list is obviously, don't think you're a pro. No, you're not even near it. In fact, you have absolutely no idea what you're doing yet. It's going to take you approximately 5 to 10,000 kilometers before you actually understand what is happening and what you should be doing. And that's when you start developing your habits, your skills. Until then, there's too much on the nerves. You're still wondering, you're still learning, you're still developing your skills. So thinking that you know what you're doing, not the best way to approach it. Now, how do you fix this issue? How do you fix this type of mentality? First of all, you have the mentality when you get on your bike, you barely have, 6 hours of riding capabilities, and you come out on the road and you just punch it and you're like, oh yeah baby, let's go. Yeah, that's not now you have a problem, and as a new rider you pretty much are asking to commit suicide. So yeah, don't go there. Now, how do you fix this? It's pretty straightforward. Like anything else, knowing the problem is the first step. Admitting to the problem is the second step, and fixing the problem is the third step. So admit to yourself that you're still a new rider, you still have a long way to go before you know what you're doing, and then you'll be fine. You'll start to learn the proper way. Step 1, understand that you're just a rookie. And like anything else, you're a rookie. You need to understand, you need to build your skills. Once you've understood that, okay, I passed my road test, now is the time for you to learn. Now is the time when really everything is going to come together. See, now you're no longer worried about your test. Now you already have your road, your license. You're allowed to be out there. You're allowed to be like everyone else. So that part of your distraction, if you will, is no longer in your head. All that's left now is, concentrating on making your skills as good as possible. And in order to do that, go out and ride as much as you possibly can. But don't go riding, down a highway 200 miles an hour. No, choose side streets, choose little neighborhoods, and take it easy. Go slow. Develop your slow maneuvers. When you do that, you start building a habit for it, and you're not putting it into that blood of yours. You're not saying, okay, I have to go fast. You're basically telling your body, I'm okay with going slow. Speed kills. There's a reason that saying exists. Speed does kill, and on a motorcycle it does it twice as fast and twice as easy. So learn slow maneuvers. Just bobble your motorcycle back and forth. Now, don't do this in traffic. Do it on an empty road like I am doing right now. As you guys can tell, there's nothing behind me, nothing in front of me. So you learn this. Why is this important? Well, this is part of your turning. Now, I'm doing 41 kilometers an hour, which means that at this point I'm doing counter steering, right? You see that? All I'm doing is pushing down and the bike goes that way. So all I'm doing is just counter steering. See? And I'm learning how to do this at a decently slow pace. Why is this important, boys and girls? Well, it's important because this is actually how you take a turn. And I'll give you guys a really good example. Around 39 kilometers an hour, I want to pull in here. I simply just counter steer. There's nothing different. And once again, I'll counter steer and I'm coming here. So you're practicing this. You're learning how to do very little and very big complex things. Counter steering is pretty much your entire life on a motorcycle. If you don't know how to counter steer, you're going to be in trouble. The faster you go, the worse it's going to get for you, because if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to end up in a lot of trouble. So what I mean by that is, now I'm doing 60 kilometers an hour. I'm over here. The bike responds a lot different at higher speeds. So I'm barely touching this and it just turns. So at slower speeds, you will have to give it a little bit more push. At higher speeds, not necessarily. And these are things that you're going to have to develop. You're going to have to learn what makes more sense. How do I get this bike to do what I want it to do? Now, I'd like to point out that the motorcycle is much smaller than you are. So at this point, listen to your bike, feel your bike, see what your bike is doing. Because if you don't, you're going to end up in trouble. Nice little place where you don't have to worry about anybody, no cars, slower speeds, and just practice. You learn to do this, guys, you're going to pick up a lot better handling skills over time. There's a lot of people that have a misconception that your back brake is, your primary brake. And you should have learned, if you took your time, to understand that's not true. Your front brake holds the majority of your power. But if you know how to use them in conjunction, you'll be fine. So what do most riders do? Most motorcycle riders, especially new ones, they push it hard. Well, that doesn't work. When you pull on it hard, your front drops. So that is not going to work for you. You kind of need to balance everything out. And you can balance out your back brake with your front brake very, very well. So practice that. Once again, slow areas such as this, it's not crazy, it's not difficult to do. Now, to give you guys an example of what that means, I'm going to be coming up to this light. I'll pull in my clutch. See? All I'm doing is slightly pushing on my back brake, and I'm not using my front brake, as you guys can tell. Now, why do I do this? That's because at slow speeds, or when I have space to do such a thing, it works out really well. But if I am going to be coming up too fast, I have to learn how to use both. Let's say, for example, I want to take a turn here, last second, and I just changed my mind. Okay, back brake, front brake, clutch in, and you come quickly to a stop. Using just your back brake, you would overshoot this, and that's not a good thing. You can end up with a lot of problems. So learn your brakes, steady your brakes, figure out what works best for you, what works best for emergency situations. Do not ever rely strictly on your front or strictly on your back. Learn to work them together. So what's next? The next step is lane position. This is position A, this is position B, and this is position C. Why are those positions very important? Most motorcyclists, especially new riders, you'll see going into position B. This is the worst possible thing you can do. Now, the reason I say this is the worst thing you can do is because this is where tires of vehicles are not touching. So all the crumbs and all the dirt comes into this area. You're coming into a turn, you see that dark patch? That's what that is. It's dirt, it's dust, it's crumb that you don't want to deal with. So you want to stay in position A or position C as much as possible. Whatever gives you the best line of sight for safety. You have to remember, if you can't see something, that something can't see you. It doesn't work, right? So if somebody is going to take a left-hand turn and you're behind a car, you want to be in position A if you're on that lane, because you frankly want to see that car. You want to see what's going on, and you have to make sure they see you. Most motorcycle accidents, people stay in position C. If there's a car there and somebody wants to make a left-hand turn, well, they can't see you. So as you're going through your position C, that car had no chance of seeing you, so, well, you didn't actually see that car either. So it's very, very important to just ride safe by choosing the right lane where you have the highest chance of being visible and you having the best chance of visibility. I see a ton of new riders, and well, honestly, I think I was guilty of this in the very beginning as well. Don't be show-offy with your bike. Look, I understand you're very, very happy you have a new bike, and you're so proud of it, and and you're so happy that you get to ride and show it off to the world because, hey, you know, it's a bike and you're a motorcyclist now. You belong to this community that's, you know, sort of seen as, you know, just a bunch of bad boys, you know. I don't care. Don't go down that path. Don't be show-offy because you have no idea, once again, what you're doing. Wait till you build your skills, and then you can start being a little show-offy. You know, you can rev your engine a little bit more. You can play around, or not. Just keep it simple. But riding a motorcycle is an interesting feeling. So most new riders want to show off. Well, that show-offiness is where you're gonna find a lot of new riders actually crashing. So yeah, don't go down that path. So how do you prevent not being show-offy? I mean, let's be honest here. It's not the easiest thing to do. You know, you're show-offy. You're happy. You're proud of the motorcycle that you have and the fact that you're allowed to ride it. Well, look at it this way. If you're gonna show off and crash, you're never ever gonna live that down with your friends or anyone else. However, if you don't show off, they still love the fact that you have a motorcycle. You still are doing something very unique. You're part of the motorcycle club now. So you're already cool because you have the motorcycle. And lastly, it's habits. I see so many new riders building up the worst possible habits, and they do nothing to fix it. Now, granted, I understand. As a new rider, you're not even sure what a good habit is. Well, learn. And again, that goes back to just spend time learning. Once you pick up on something, you have to remember that your bad habits are going to transfer into a long-term, well, effect. Because you're new, it is much more difficult to understand, well, what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. This is where research comes in. So do your research, learn, talk to other people. The one thing about motorcyclists is pretty much all motorcyclists are willing to help you. You ask questions, ask the more experienced riders, because when you start asking them questions, they will tell you. They'll tell you all the mistakes they made in the beginning, and pretty much those are the ones you don't want to do. And they'll tell you that. Believe me, I'll tell you right off the bat. I've made mistakes that are crazy. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave us a comment. Tell us that you enjoyed it. And if you are not subscribed, please do. And with that said, thank you very much for watching. We hope you ride safe. We hope this video was helpful. Until next time, goodbye.